We were doing over 200K in revenue a month. Our margins were about 66%. And we just foolishly decided that we could start an agency. And for that to go from there at absolute zero, I had a child on the way. It was stressful. And to be able to sell that for any amount of money was just absolutely unbelievable to me, and it was a blessing. It was validating and just crazy that it happens. People buy from people. You know, you can have the best product in the world, but ultimately at the end of the day, they buy from people they trust. Think about who your clients are, and then think about where they are. They start knowing who you are, and then they'll start referring you out, and you can get a ton of work out of that. Part of scaling is you have to get away from touching the clients, because when somebody wants to buy your agency, their biggest concern is...
Okay, so I'm here with Carl Roof, extremely successful agency owner and famous SEO. Now, I know you're most famous for being a big tester. When it comes to, you're probably one of my biggest resources in terms of what's actually going on with the algorithm, in terms of what we know and can reverse engineer about how Google works. But what I really wanted to talk about today was going up a level, because you're able to apply that to clients very effectively. So maybe if you want to tell us a bit about your background with High Voltage, and unlike many agency founders, you actually exited for,
yes.
I think, quite a handsome multiple.
We did okay. Yeah, what allowed us to exit, and one of the biggest things were our SOPs. You know, and I think you and I have talked about this before, where it's kind of like you can figure out what works. You can make a solid SOP out of it, and then it just becomes a repeatable process going forward with each individual client. Now, you need to have an SOP for everything. And it's easy to have an SOP for one or two things, but it's much more tricky if you have maybe 50 or 75 different things you might do. You need an SOP for all of those. And you really want to do that mainly because you don't want people reinventing the wheel every time they're doing something. One of your employees is doing something for a client, but you also don't want them deviating because you know that this works. And SEO, you're never going to be right 100% of the time in SEO, but you can be more right than your competitors, and that comes from repeatable processes that you're very diligent with, and then you're going to win in the long run. So having those SOPs is massive in terms of kind of figuring out how to grow and scale and then actually be able to exit.
Welcome to my agency growth video series. These videos are designed to give you a load of free information on how to scale your SEO agency. And this can be applied to all different kinds of agencies, from AI automation and paid ads. It doesn't really matter what you're selling, it really is about how you sell it and how you build that operation. Service businesses are a true sustainable recurring income source, and you want to market and sell that service effectively, while at the same time building your delivery engine, a series of simple workflows and SOPs that anyone can follow so that your team can execute for you without burning you out. So forget trying to find that $3,000 a month side hustle. This is the way to get to $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month true life-changing income without completely burning yourself out, if you build it in the right way. And that's why I'm offering you today my Agency Ascension ebook. This is the full blueprint that took me to more than $50,000 per month in monthly recurring revenue, and it's the same systems that can take you far beyond that. There's plenty of proof here from my own growth path, but the simple fact is the 80-20 is most people are building agencies the wrong way round. They have a couple of clients, they handle all the delivery themselves, they're chasing a kind of perfectionism where they're always the operator, whereas they're not thinking like a systematized business owner, where you have a simple, repeatable formula that you can apply to every client and still get 80% of the same results. So click the link below and you can see everything that's included in the Agency Ascension blueprint. Lots of these do go against a lot of standard agency training advice. If you're watching this video right now, use the code YouTube and you can get the ebook for free. Click the link below, use the code YouTube, and get the Agency Ascension blueprint now for free.
I think that sort of productization point is really important because I meet so many agency owners where they're probably in the sort of 10 to 20K a month doing okay. There's a big sort of 80-90% bracket of people who are at that point. And they've got 4 or 5 clients, they're doing well, but they're still the operator, and they're very much focused on, it's not about growth, it's about I want to do the very best I can for this small selection of clients, and then someday in the future when everyone's ranking 1, then maybe I'll get some referrals and scale to 20 to 30K a month. Whereas it's always struck me that the best agency owners, we have this system, and you're right, it's not 100% perfect, but it's perfectly effective 80% of the time. What we really focus on is the marketing, the operations, that then allow us to deliver that effectively at scale.
That's exactly right. Each time you kind of move up a level, maybe gain a couple thousand, that's an opportunity to remove yourself from that thing and have somebody else do it. And then if you're able to remove yourself from that, that gives you the opportunity to focus on that growth and scale. because you're the only one that's only going to scale your business, but you can have somebody else build backlinks for you.
Yeah.
You know, somebody else can be doing the citations. You know, somebody else can be doing the logging into WordPress. I couldn't log into WordPress right now. I feel like maybe I can muddle my way around, but I couldn't tell you how to build a web page.
Yeah. We were having a conversation at lunch earlier, and somebody said,
build
do
a
you
web
use
page in
HubSpot?
forever. Yeah, I have no idea. I do use HubSpot, but like only for the contacts part, because my team forces me to go in and actually update contacts after I have conversations.
No, so at lunch someone said, do you use HubSpot? I said, well, I don't, but my sales guy
Exactly,
uses
somebody
it
else
every
does.
day.
Yeah, I have like this much interaction with it only when I have to. But if you don't have those SOPs, it's going to run amok quickly. You know, because you're going to hire people and they're just going to do whatever they want to do. And you need them to do very specific things. Also, if you lose somebody, you want to have it set up so that a well-trained Cocker Spaniel can basically replace them. You know what I mean? Like you can move something with a limited amount of training, and they can still be effective. And it comes down to those. But to your other point, each of those things is a product, and so you never want to have like we're gonna build 5 pieces of content for you. No. That's the product. That's the website upgrader 5000.
Yeah.
You know, that's the Big Mac. You know, you want an actual name to it because you don't want.
I know copywriters call it your mechanism.
Yeah.
It's not I do this commodified thing for a certain audience. It's I've got the super method. Yeah.
So what we would end up doing is at the beginning of the month, we would go through all of the products. Actually, I can break this down a little if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay. This made us a ton of money. We turned all budgets into points. So let's say somebody's budget is $2,000 a month. That's 200 points. All of the things we do are products, and they all have a point value.
Yeah.
And then so at the beginning of the month, we would talk about as experts, we recommend for your goals and your KPIs, this product, this product, this product, and this product. That's really up to them. And in the end, we're not spending money, we're spending our points on products to get to their end goal. Then we agree on what the products are going to be for the month. We report on what we're doing during the month. And at the end of the month, we show the work that we did. So it really makes it very tangible, the work that we're doing. And then we have the conversation, what shall we do for next month? But here was the biggest thing. Mid-month, this always happens. You get a phone call like, you know, the CEO has a new vision. You know, and so it's like, it's like, okay, no problem. We've already spent 100 points. What would you like to do?
Yeah.
Would you like us to stop what we're doing? We take that 100 points we have remaining and do this new thing. Would you like to buy new points for this month? Or do you want to take a loan on next month?
Nice.
And then this gets rid of all scope creep.
Yeah.
You're not doing any work for free, and most agencies get bled to death on scope creep. Oh, could you just do this little thing for me?
Yeah.
Or that mid-month change will kill you. But this takes that all away.
We've had really similar because, I feel most of the agencies stuck in that 10 to 20 month trap. It's that very sort of high touch, doing a bit of everything, very bespoke, hands-on, which is very, very noble and honourable, but you're not going to scale with that process. But we're not talking about reducing quality here because that system that works for 80% of that really does deliver effectively for 80% of clients. You're getting far more businesses to number one than you would do just serving a couple of clients, high touch, doing everything yourself.
And if they do want something bespoke, that can be done, but now you've got a product that's very similar, so that's really going to help you estimate cost on doing that bespoke thing, because you've got something that's about the same, maybe a minor tweak here and there, and then you know, okay, that's going to cost me about this much to do.
That's it. So
and then you've got margin there.
We've had the same thing where we have our pricing tiers, and it combines various elements, got content, off-page, etc. But you're absolutely right. You might have that client that's really established, they've got a great domain rating, but they're really weak on keyword research and content. So fine, we just skew the ratio a bit.
Yep, exactly.
Less link building,
that's
more
exactly
of the on
right.
page.
That's exactly right. The other thing that it does too is on the pitch side of it. So usually people will be like, okay, for $2,000, we'll do all of this for you. And they show like all the work they're going to do. And then somebody comes back and like, hey, I want you to do it, but I'll only pay you $1,500.
Yeah.
Well, what we do is like, that's no problem. That's 150 points. We'll just
just take something off.
Yeah, we'll take it off. So you're not negotiating. There's no room for negotiation against your products and your pricing.
They're sticking to the budget, then the delivery comes down.
Yeah, it comes down. And then this ends up with people upselling themselves because they realize like, oh, I do want more. Like we had a couple clients that actually just look at it like an actual menu.
Yep.
And then they just like, this month I want this, and this. And it's just whatever the points were for the month. We have a minimum. I can't remember what our minimum was. But we have a minimum, like we can't go below this, but they would just be above that every time, and they would just choose the things they want for their site.
Yep, we've had really similar.
Perfect.
We do volume pricing, so our lower plans are more expensive per product than the higher volume plans. So we had one client, after 1 month, they pushed back on price, saying per link, this works out quite expensive.
Right.
I said, no problem, the higher tiers, much cheap. Signed up for 10K a month.
There it is, yeah.
But I think, now the next issue there is I do get people reaching out saying, we've actually sorted a lot of the hiring, the process, the system works. Of course, it's $1 million question, actually getting the clients. I know you've been a big fan of scaling with proper Facebook ad funnels.
We do a lot of that. I would say, though, not everybody might have the resources to have like a huge budget where they can do that, because our spend got quite high.
Yeah.
But when in our heyday of it, and I don't know that a lot of people have that resource, but I think in a big way, think about who your clients are, and then think about where they are, and then go to there. Almost all of them have some sort of group, and the group needs somebody to go coordinate soft drinks for the meeting. That can be you. And then you're putting yourself out there, you're involved in this group, and then what ends up happening is that they have to talk to you.
Yeah.
Even if you're the biggest introvert of all time, because you are actively participating in that group, you're known, they trust you, they start knowing who you are, and then they'll start referring you out. So if you can, try to physically go to where your clients are and be involved in their community, and you can get a ton of work out of that. On top of that, a lot of like those breakfast morning groups, they all have meetings where they need 15 or 20 minutes worth of content. And you can go and meet in front of people that these are your actual clients you want. Give them a little prezzo on how to improve their Google business profiles or something like that, and then have a $50 product to sell, because their credit cards will come out.
Yeah.
You're going to pick up 4 or 5 clients, and have something at 50 or 100 or 200, like a real easy credit card swipe type thing, to do a small little audit of their GMB, or their Google business profile. And then from there, that only leads on. But I hustled through a lot of those groups at the beginning.
Yeah.
I went to one that was a group of pastors. we were doing, I don't know what we were doing for, but yeah, I ended up picking up like 2 or 3 clients, but then they tell their congregations. And now you've got this trustworthy person that's now telling all these other people, and a lot of them have small businesses.
It's always those early days.
And it just grows and grows and grows from there.
I discussed it with a few people. You go to a conference like this, and everyone's asking the $1 million question: how did you get your first few clients? Because for so many people, it's those first few clients that are so crucial. Yeah. And in my case, honestly, I quit my day job, and my team were sort of laughing, saying, "Stuart's quitting to become a digital nomad." I said, "No, I actually really like London. I'm staying put."
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I was on a plane to Colombia because I've been invited to a business mastermind, and I thought, that's my highest chance of actually getting in the room with serious business owners.
People buy from people. You can have the best product in the world, but ultimately, at the end of the day, they buy from people they trust. And being present, being there, goes so far to establishing that trust. And people want to like what you have to say, but at the end of the day, they also kind of want to like you.
That actually brings us importantly to the next point, really, about retention, because that for the first year or two, I was just same thing, hustling, room to room, event to event. And that was great. It would take a few months, but those clients converted extremely well, and they retained really well because they knew me. And literally, I'd had dinners with them.
Right.
But then as soon as you go up a level and you get clients coming in who haven't necessarily met you in person or had a call with you, they're going through your team, suddenly that's when the retention game became much more important.
Sure.
And our retention went through the floor at the time.
Yeah, because part of scaling is you have to get away from touching the clients. You have to get out of the sales funnel, and you have to get out of the day-to-day admin in order to be able to scale and also to be able to sell. That's huge, because when somebody wants to buy your agency, their biggest concern is you.
Yeah.
Like, are people only here for you? And if they're only here for you, it's going to make it hard to sell the agency. So you do have to remove yourself. One way to do that is to go for 6-month or 12-month contracts. Companies that can agree to a 6-month contract or a 12-month contract are already budgeted.
Yeah.
And usually they have an in-house team that you're working with, and really the in-house team just wants to look good.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with the owner-operator at that point
anymore
with those kind of companies, and that can help with retention. Anytime you feel any friction at all, that's the time to send the Amazon gift card.
Yep.
Just like, hey, thinking of you, buddy. Like, anytime there's any kind of friction. And then, especially with these larger companies, you need a proponent for you there. So that's where you really want to express to their marketing team or to their web team, I'm not here to take your job. I don't want your job. I'm here to make you look better.
Right.
And so that's a convo to have with them at the beginning. You tell me what you need to see in these reports. you are on the inside, I want to make sure that you get promoted, because then I know you're taking me with you. Nice. And so you want to make sure that you've got that person that's cheering up, because they're the ones sitting in all the meetings. You're not. You're only getting those external meetings. They're the ones internally. They're the ones at the water cooler. You want them to be talking up the whole time. And so anything that you can do to get on the good side of those people is paramount to keeping those clients for longer.
Mm. And just to talk about like I say, generally, I think you're known far more as the tester, the operator, than the agency owner. But I realised we didn't say it earlier. Let's get back to some actual numbers in terms of what did high voltage look like in the final stage of that curve.
We were doing over 200K in revenue a month, and with the system that we had set up in place, our margins were about 66%.
Very nice. And what sort of team size?
We had 30, give or take.
Nice. So still pretty lean overall.
Trying to, yeah. You have to stay as lean. But what we ended up building was like a leadership level team, senior strategist, and then junior strategist, kind of in that. And basically, a junior kind of moves up to a senior, and those are client-facing. So you kind of work your way up in the leadership team. While some of them, there is some blurring between the lines. One is more on the HR side of things, and then we had a U.S. manager who also did finance and a European manager. And so kind of having those in place, and basically myself and my business partner, Andy, kind of gave our vision to the leadership team, and then you really have to trust them that they know what they're doing to then implement and spread that through. Mm. And that's kind of how we had things set up in our organization. And in doing that, you have to empower people, you have to trust them. But then that all goes back to that foundational stuff, like having the SOPs at the beginning. That they're trained up and they know what they're doing. The other thing, how I train people too, is I have them send me the email first.
Yeah.
Hey, we need to explain this to the client. And then even if it's their day one, this means they have to go and research how to do it. And they need to figure out how it works with our system, and then they write the email and they send it to me, and then I correct it and send it back and have them. And in that process, I'm never sending that email to the client, but that email to the client technique worked really well. So by the time we felt comfortable moving each person up, they understood our processes, how we thought about things, what our values were. All that was kind of built within that training process, and then you can kind of build from within to create a really tight group that can really replicate you and what you're doing with how you want it done.
Yeah. Again, it's such a lazy question, but it's also such an important question. So for all those agency owners out there who are stuck somewhere between sort of 10, 25, 30K a month, and they've probably done the in-person networking, they've done the referrals, what would you say are the next biggest levers to actually pull? I think dialing in the retention is really important, getting that handover so that you can use online strategies where you're not that involved, but therefore you've got to fix the retention as well with the account management side. But then if you've got that lifetime value, then I think you can invest much more heavily.
That's the whole thing. There's so many different levers you can pull. There's probably a leak in the bucket somewhere. Mm. The one thing I would say is I noticed that you do kind of hit plateaus, right? You kind of maybe get to that 10K and like, yay, and you feel amazing, but you kind of stay there, and then you get that 20. And then from 20, it's like a race to 50. That was a real breakthrough. And I did feel that a little bit you are reinventing your company at each plateau. Yeah. And so there is some level of improvement, but I doubt they've been to all the networking. I bet there are problems with their SOPs. I bet some training on sales. I've done plenty of. I'm terrible at sales, but I bet I sell better than most. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I've gone through the trainings and I've watched myself and I've tried to refine it. And same with SEO techniques. I'm open to hearing what other people have to say, refining them, testing them, checking it all out. You have to be open to adapting all of those things. And then I think that can kind of reform your business at each of those plateau levels. Yeah. We didn't actually hire a sales... There's still kind of that foundation, but it does need to evolve. Yeah. We didn't actually hire a salesperson until this year. But again, that was such a lever, transformative. And you realize, why was I not doing this 2 years ago? I believe like in like salespeople and psychology. Keep in mind, I have a bachelor's in psychology. But like in a way, we somehow distrust these people. Like a sales consultant or like a therapist. There's this level of distrust. But then all of a sudden, once you take advantage of like, oh, you're a professional and you know what you're doing, and my life would have been better if I'd just done this 10 years ago. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then like once you feel like such an idiot that you hadn't taken the time, it's some sort of like, I don't know what the term is, just pride, hubris. Like I don't need external help. I can do it all myself. But it turns out I'll go to the professional. Like, just fast track it, go to them, and it's going to make your life better. There are people, that do SOPs. They're SOP professionals.
Are you a believer in basically paying the market rate for a specialist in that problem to fix that problem.
For sure. If you can afford it, do it. It'll make your life better.
Yeah. We've talked about a lot of grinding here in terms of, no one wants those hard answers of...
I have to do work.
Still got to carry on the conference, so keep networking, fix your SOPs.
I just want to push a button.
There's a lot of boring work here. So on that note, to really sell that dream...
don't do any of this.
Let's just come back to that big exit and the multiple within the realms of what you are allowed to share. Just tell us what that looked like.
The biggest thing for me is you can have a valuation of your business. You might have some...
On paper.
Yeah. It's a whole other thing when somebody writes the check. And it doesn't matter what the number is, whether it's 6 figures or 7 figures, that doesn't matter all. If you got a valuation and somebody is willing to give you cash for the thing that you built from nothing. I literally built that agency from a sad kitchen table in a sad apartment in Merced, California, with a business partner living in Berlin that I'd never met in person. And we just foolishly decided that we could start an agency. And for that to go from there at absolute zero, I had a child on the way. It was stressful. That was a stressful time. And to be able to sell that for any amount of money was just absolutely unbelievable to me. And it was a blessing. It was validating, and just crazy that it happened. So anything you can build from zero and get something out of, I think, is a special thing. And if anybody has the opportunity to do it, I would take advantage and do it.
Very good. Wise words. Thank you very much.